All right, let's get right into it. We are tackling one of the most common and honestly most frustrating grammar mix-ups out there, your versus your. Now, it seems so simple, right? But this one little error can trip up just about anyone. But don't worry, in the next few minutes, we're going to put this problem to bed for good. So, to kick things off, let's just start with a quick little challenge. Have a look at the sentence that's about to pop up on your screen. There it is. Your presentation was great. Do you see the problem? This is exactly the kind of slip-up we're talking about. It's so subtle and so common, but it can completely change how someone reads your message. Let's talk about why this is such a big deal. And that brings us to what I like to call a credibility-killing mistake. I know, that sounds a little dramatic, doesn't it? But think about it. In a professional email, a report, or even just an important text, little errors like this can really undermine your authority. It can make your writing look, well, a little careless. Now, the reason this mistake happens all the time is actually pretty simple. The two words sound exactly the same. They're what's called homophones. So our brains hear one thing and our fingers just type another. But the good news is, because it's a rule-based error, it is incredibly easy to fix once you know the secret. And here it is, the secret weapon. This is the golden rule, the one simple test that is going to work for you every single time. No exceptions. If you take away only one thing today, make it this. It really is just a simple 3-step process. The next time you're about to write one of these words, just pause for a second and ask yourself, can I swap this out for the words you are, and does the sentence still make sense? If the answer is a clear yes, then you want your, the one with the apostrophe. If it sounds clunky or just plain wrong, then you need your. Simple as that. Okay, so you've got the foolproof test down. Now let's just quickly break down the why behind it. Because once you understand the actual job each word is doing, this whole concept is going to be locked in for good. All right, first up, your. See that little apostrophe? It's not just there for decoration, it's actually doing a job. It's showing us that a letter is missing. Your is a contraction, which is just a fancy word for a shortened version of two words. In this case, you and are. And the rule here is super strict. It can only be used when you mean you are. For example, you are going to love this movie. Sounds perfect, right? Now let's talk about your. This word has a totally different job. It's all about possession. It shows ownership or some kind of relationship. The presentation belongs to you. It is your presentation. You would never say, I really liked our presentation. See how that just falls apart? That's our little test protecting you. Let's put these two head to head because seeing them side by side makes it so clear. On one side, you've got the contraction your, which always means you are. On the other side, you've got the possessive your, meaning something belongs to you. They have two completely different jobs. And that's really the core distinction you need to remember. And your is actually a bit more flexible than we might think. It's not just about physical things you own, like your phone. It can also be about abstract concepts like your future, or even about relationships like your brother. In every single one of these cases, it's showing a connection to you. Okay, you're doing great. So time for a little pop quiz. Let's apply what we've learned to a phrase that gets a lot of people tangled up. The classic, you're welcome. Or wait, is it you're welcome? Let's figure it out. So when someone thanks you and you give them that polite reply, the correct phrase is always you're welcome. But why? Well, let's use our test. Can you say you are welcome? Yes, of course you can. So you need the contraction your. This is the one you're going to be using 99% of the time. So is your welcome ever correct? Actually, yes, but it's pretty rare. It's used when the welcome itself is a thing that belongs to someone, like a greeting they gave you. Here's a quick trick. See if you can slide an adjective in there, like warm or kind. For example, we appreciated your warm welcome. That works perfectly, so in this case, your is the right choice. Fantastic. You've totally mastered the basics and even the tricky cases. So for this final section, I've got a couple of pro tips to make your writing even more polished, and will help you dodge one last common trap. So here's a really great piece of advice for any kind of professional writing. While your is always grammatically correct, in more formal stuff like a research paper, a business proposal, a cover letter, it's usually better to just write out the full two words, you are. It just adds this little touch of formality and polish that can make a real difference. And that brings us to the final trap. Oh, it is so tempting to put an apostrophe in yours when you want to show that something belongs to someone, but I'm telling you, it is always incorrect. The word yours, meaning belonging to you, never, ever, ever gets an apostrophe. That book is yours. That's it. And this is actually part of a much larger rule. It's not just yours. None of the possessive pronouns, like his, hers, ours, or theirs, ever use an apostrophe. It's just a simple little rule to remember that'll keep your writing looking super clean and professional. So let's boil it all down into one ultimate cheat sheet. Your is you are. Your shows possession. If you are ever, ever in doubt, just come back to this simple little table, or even better, just use that you are test we talked about. You're doing a great job. Your idea was very creative. See? It just works. And there you have it, the complete no-nonsense guide to your and your. It's one of those small details that genuinely makes a huge difference. So the only question left is, now that you have this tool in your back pocket, how are you going to use it to make your own writing clearer, stronger, and even more credible? Thanks for watching.